Okay. Hello, and good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to Taylor Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. And we have Dr. Andrew Schneider with us, and I am Dr. Andy Badia. I am currently the president of the American Academy of Podiatric Practice Management, and have also been on the board for Taylor Medical now for several years. Today we have Dr. Andrew Schneider, of course, with us as a moderator, and we have Andrew Swensen here with us to talk a little bit about Weave and how Weave can help your practice, specifically today focusing on reviews and boosting your marketing while utilizing patient reviews. So Weave is a software that provides communication and phone systems integration for your business, along with reviews, as I mentioned, and it's got features that will help you for every step of the patient journey. So we'll get more into that as we go along. This webinar is going to focus, as I said, specifically on the reputation management aspect and patient reviews. Let's go on to the next slide.
Okay, if you've missed any of the Taylor Tuesdays, you're in luck, because on the website, if you go to the Taylor Medical website, on the top you'll see webinars. Click on that, and you will see a library of all the Taylor Tuesdays that have been hosted. We host our Taylor Tuesdays bi-monthly on the first and third Tuesday of every month, and we always, of course, encourage you to join us live for that.
And to the next slide, please. And if you're not familiar with Taylor Medical, or if this is your first time joining us for a Taylor Tuesday, I'm just going to take a minute to explain what Taylor Medical is and how it can help your practice. Taylor Medical is a GPO, group purchasing organization, and what they do is to leverage the buying power of their vast number of members to negotiate discounts with key vendors in the podiatric industry. What this does is save you money on the products or supplies or capital equipment or anything that you are already doing or ordering for your practice. So, the best part here is not only is the membership free, but on top of that, you get a 1% annual rebate on all your qualifying purchases. So I urge you to sign up for a free, no obligation cost analysis. All you have to do is email an Excel spreadsheet with 3 months of your most recent ordering history, and you would send that to admin@taylormedical.com, and you can see that on the screen, admin@taylormedical.com, and that's all we need to get you started, and you will see how much Taylor Medical can save you. That said, we are now going to move on to the main part of our presentation. Next slide, please.
So Andrew Swensen is the partner marketing manager for Weave, the all-in-one communication platform for small businesses. He spent the last 4 years marketing in the tech industry with a focus on strategy, audience building, and content creation. He's passionate about supporting small businesses by telling their story and meeting their audience's unique needs. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. Look forward to your presentation.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that kind introduction, Andrew. Like you said, my name is also Andrew, and I'll be leading today's webinar titled, So You Got a 5-Star Review, Now What? Like he said, I'm the partner marketing manager at a communication software company called Weave. I'll get more into what Weave is and what we do a little bit later on. But for now, let's just jump right into the presentation. As I mentioned, we are going to be talking about online reviews, and you're going to walk away with these 3 key points today. First, we'll talk about what to do after you get a 5-star review on Google, on Facebook. We all know that feeling. It's super exciting, right? It's a proud moment for your practice, but there are a few things that you want to do after you get a 5-star review. So we'll be going over those first. Then we're going to talk about what to do after you get a bad review, right? And this is a question I get a lot. I'll start by saying it's okay. Bad reviews happen. They aren't the end of the world, and they can be dealt with. So we're going to take a good close look at a negative review strategy that can work in your favor. And the third point we'll discuss is how to ensure that you actually have a review strategy and that you're using that to get new business, right? So reviews do have a purpose bigger than just showing a bunch of stars on your Google page. They can be leveraged to get you new business. So we'll be diving into that as well. Now, if any of you have attended webinars about online reviews in the past, I just want you to know that this is not a webinar that's going to show you how to get reviews or that you should get reviews. I guess we'll touch a little bit on how to get them, but we all know, and I think it's safe to say that reviews are a very useful tool to boost your practice's online reputation, right? To attract more patients, especially since more people these days trust online reviews than they do recommendations from a friend. So we all know they're important, but today we're going to focus on what to do with the reviews once you have them as they start coming in, right? So as we get started, I want you to think about this question on screen right here and be honest with yourself. Does your practice have a true marketing strategy? Do you have a marketing team or people in your practice who understand what they're trying to accomplish in regards to marketing every day? And it doesn't mean that you're throwing money at a big pot labeled marketing. It means you know exactly what you're doing, what you expect to get back, and you try new things every now and then to boost business through marketing. If you want to, go ahead and you can put a yes or a no in the chat box just so we can get a feel for how many of you do or don't have a marketing strategy. If you don't, that's okay. But think about this question as we move on here. In line with that question is this very important point about a marketing strategy. And I see it all the time where practices get called up by an SEO or an online ranking company, and they get talked in to throwing money at third-party review companies or SEO ranking companies or review management. They don't know what the return on investment is. They are just kind of sold on this idea that it's important, right? And I'm here to tell you this is not a marketing strategy. If your strategy is similar to this, that's okay, but we're going to talk to you about how you can change that to get more detailed and more intentional with what you are doing. So moving along here, let's first talk about what happens after you get that first 5-star review, right? Or any 5-star review. I bet you can all remember the first review you got for your practice. And if it was a really good one, just go back to that moment and remember that feeling, right? Probably a pretty proud moment. You probably felt good, gave yourself a big pat on the back. It really gave you an understanding for, people who value your services. And that's a great feeling. Now, don't lose that, but don't let that be the end of the road for that review, right? I think a lot of us get a 5-star review, we congratulate ourselves, and then we just leave it there. But here is an overview of 3 things that you want to leverage with that 5-star review for your practice. So number 1, respond to the review, respond to that customer. This may seem obvious, but I see it all the time where companies don't respond to 5-star reviews. So you want to tell your patients how much you appreciate their review when you see them in person, but also respond online. And that's the important point here is you want to respond to the customer online or respond to the patient online. Because what happens is patients and potential patients will come to your website, they'll find you on Google, they'll want to read through some interactions that you have with other patients, and they want to see how you respond and talk to them. So another fun point here is that as part of Google's algorithm, the more conversations or responses you have going back and forth ultimately improve your online ranking, all right? So responding is very important. Number 2 here, ask your patients to use their review in your marketing. What I mean by that is that you can use it on your website, on social media posts, on ads. We'll get into that a little bit more later, but you want to ask if you can use their review in your marketing. And then finally, we're going to talk about ways you can utilize those reviews everywhere. Every opportunity you get, those reviews are gold and they are free marketing again. So we'll talk about how to use these reviews everywhere in your marketing. So taking a look at some amazing examples of how you can respond to your patients in reviews, there's some strategy to this. First off, you want to reply directly within the Google or Facebook review, right? Wherever that review came from, respond in that channel. You'll see this review right here, the business, and I don't think it's a medical practice, it's a business here, responded there at the bottom. They said, thank you. right? It takes time and effort for your patients to leave a review. So always be sure to thank them. Very important. The second thing here, and this is kind of a fun trick, mention the name of your practice in the responses. So you'll see in this example, they thank Charles for the review. Then they say the team at Beehive works hard too. Simply mentioning their company name or your practice name, Beehive in this example, that also plays into Google's algorithm. It associates your practice with a positive review, and that affects your ranking in a positive way. So on the other end of things, let's say you get a negative review. You want to still respond, and we'll get more into that later, but don't mention the name of your practice in those negative reviews, because similarly, your name associated with the negative review will have a negative impact on that ranking, right? And the third thing on this respond list here is mention the specific service you provide. You want future patients who are reading the review to associate it with great experiences that they can relate to and look forward to, with a caveat there. Mention the service you provided within reason to maintain HIPAA compliance, right? This may work great for a different company to name exactly what they did, but I mentioned HIPAA compliance here because that's a concern I get a lot when talking about responding to reviews from patients. How do I adequately respond to their review without mentioning the health services that we provided? The answer to this is focus on the positive aspects of your interactions, not exactly what they were there for, right? And I'm sure that you all are well aware of this. You can use your best judgment. For example, let's say your patient complimented how effective the service was, or how quick it was, or they mentioned how friendly and accommodating your staff was, or how sensitive you were to their needs without mentioning their needs, right? Respond to the quality of the service, not what they're there for. So moving along here, the next thing that you want to do with a 5-star review is ask your patients if you can use their review in your marketing. Now, this might feel like an awkward conversation, an awkward approach, right? How do I even ask them to use their review? But I promise it doesn't have to be that awkward. The first thing that you should do here is just get their permission, right? You can call them on the phone. You can text them. You can, even the next time that they come in and you see them in person, they're all acceptable options, however you feel most comfortable based on your relationship with those patients. And the third thing here, if possible, don't just ask if you can use that review in your marketing. Dig a little deeper. Ask some follow-up questions. Why did they have such a great experience? What has been their experience with maybe competitors in the community? What do they expect walking into your office, right? All of that is really valuable feedback to use in your marketing. It takes a little extra time, right? You're going to have to put some effort into this, but that effort pays off big time by boosting your reviews and using those reviews for marketing, right? And again, here, use your best judgment. If the review discloses too much information or potentially violates HIPAA compliance, either focus on a part of the review that mentions just a nice interaction, quality of care, or ask if you can revise that review to be a little bit more private, maintain that privacy, and see if they'll approve a variation of that. But using their reviews in your marketing, this is proof to potential patients that you are a solid choice. Okay, moving things along here. Next up, when you get that 5-star review, you need to, you've responded online, right? You've asked if you can use that review. You've gotten permission from your patient. Next up, we're going to utilize that in as many ways as possible. The first way you can utilize that is showcase good reviews on your website and in any ads you might be running. I'm sure many of you have your own website, or maybe you pay someone to manage it for you. Either way, that's great. But take an example like the one on screen here. Maybe have a banner at the top or the bottom of your web page with a 5-star review, an authentic one, to show what patients are saying about your practice. It's a great place to start because patients will find you on Google. They'll see that you have great reviews there. And then when they go to your website, that will confirm and reinforce that you're a reputable, well-reviewed facility, right? The next one here is brag about the patient. And I'm going to say that again. This is very important. Brag about the patient, not the review or yourself. Again, this is in regards to utilizing this. Maybe you're making a social media post about this review. You don't want to say, hey, look at us, we got 5 stars. You want to say, we really value our customer, Paul T, and they left us a great review. Here's what they said, right? The goal here is to put potential patients in the shoes of your past patients or your current patients, make them feel welcome and comfortable and cared for before you even work with them, right? They're less likely to believe how great you are if you're the one telling them. They want to hear it from people just like them. And finally here, tell the customer's story. Now, in the medical field, we want to respect and maintain HIPAA compliance, again, always, right? So don't disclose anything that's too personal or get you in trouble, but let's share the thoughts, share the feelings, the emotional responses they had surrounding the details of their experience. Again, great way to get potential patients to relate to your patients and feel welcome and comfortable. So now we know what to do with a 5-star review, right? We respond, we ask, and we utilize that in our marketing. Next, let's talk a little bit more about the power of 5-star reviews, just to reinforce how important it is for you to utilize these in your marketing. I don't think any of these numbers will surprise you, but they do confirm just how important reviews are. This first one here, 92% of patients or consumers now look at online reviews when considering a business or practice, right? It's the first thing any of us do, whether it's a restaurant, a plumber, a doctor, a vet, a physical therapist, whatever. You go online, you check Google, you check Yelp, maybe you check Facebook, right? The first place you go. Next up here, 79% of patients and consumers trust online reviews as much, if not more, than personal recommendations. Before the rise of Google and Facebook and Yelp, what did you do? You asked your friend, you asked your neighbor, maybe a family member, hey, I busted my knee. Do you know a good PT around here? Who do you go to? And that recommendation is what you went with. Well, now you go online and you can shop around. You can see reviews from a lot of different people, not just who you know. And this builds additional trust in that practice. So the last one here, 73% of consumers only pay attention to reviews written in the last month. And we'll touch more on this one coming up a little bit here, but reviews from a year ago or 2 years ago won't carry quite as much weight as reviews from the last month or two. Reviews it's a game of consistency. You know, you can have 3,000 5-star reviews, but it won't do you much good if they are all from 5 or 6 years ago. So you need to get some recency here. Moving on, these are things that potential patients look for when they are looking at reviews, right? These are things that you want to make sure you have in your business's kind of, arsenal of reviews online. Number one is your overall rating. You probably have an idea of how many stars you have on Google. So when you have a range of reviews, they don't care just about a 5-star reviews. They want to see maybe a 1 or a 2-star review too, because then they can see how you reply to those and that you're not just ignoring them, right? They like to see a little bit of diversity there in the reviews. Obviously, you want to be closer to 5 stars, but no 1-star reviews, no 2-star reviews seems a little bit inauthentic these days. Number 2 is recency. When was the last review given? It's especially important with recent years, in recent years because of COVID, right? The pandemic. Especially in 2020, 2021, if you have great reviews during the pandemic, that shows a lot to potential patients. And it shows that you were able to survive and thrive when times were tough, that you were able to evolve and still provide a 5-star experience even during unprecedented times. And finally, we've got quantity. The amount of reviews your practice has makes a difference. You might have a perfect 5-star rating, but if you only have 10 reviews, it's not as impressive as a 4.7, 4.8 star rating with hundreds or thousands of reviews, right? This shows that you are more reputable than a practice that maybe just has a few. So you want to be continuously growing that review count. Don't just settle for a few there. So let's go ahead and get to the point that I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting for, what to do when you get a 1-star review, right? Just as good as you felt about that 5-star review, the 1-star review can bring you down, bring you back down to earth, right? My advice is, again, don't worry about it. It happens to everyone, even the best businesses, the best practices out there. Your reply is what tells the other half of the story here, right? Consumers don't care if you have a 1-star review. What they really care about is how you handled it and how you interact with your patients. So first off here, we want to respond as quickly as possible. Don't let the 1-star review sit there for very long, right? Don't ignore it. It's not going to go away. It's not going to get buried. It's better to interact with that and try and remedy it, right? Next up here is keep calm and be professional, right? Medical professionals, I'm sure you understand this. You don't want to swear at them. You don't want to tell them they're wrong. But I'm telling you, I've seen it before, and it's not pretty. It doesn't win you any battles. So be professional there. Next, ask questions and investigate. This is your opportunity to get feedback and ask exactly what was wrong, and maybe see if there's anything you can do to help. Finally, here, if you see a review that you don't recognize, Maybe you don't recognize the patient. Maybe you know you were closed on the day that they're talking about. If you know that review isn't real, you can reach out to Google and flag these reviews as false, as inflammatory, misleading. You can get them removed, in other words, if you can prove that they aren't actually from your patient. So a great example here, someone has, this is, I think, a home service example. They left a 1-star review, pretty specific there, and they responded, hey, we're sorry to see that you weren't satisfied. We're happy. We're not going to be happy until you are. And get in touch with us. We love your feedback, right? So when you get that 1-star review, you're in there, you're responding to your patient online. It's all about damage control, right? So again, don't argue with them. You want to own up to the mistake or the complaint, and make sure that you explain your standards, and that maybe that particular staff member's actions didn't lead up to your standards, and make sure that they know that you care, that you see them, that they're understood. Validate them, right? Give them context, and thank them for their feedback, right? But again, don't mention your business name in the response, because then it gets associated with that negative review, and that's bad for some of your online rankings there. So moving along, I want to know what your review strategy is, or at least give you an opportunity to give some thought to what you want it to be, all right? So we've talked about what to do after getting a 5-star review, what to do after getting a 1-star review. Now, in your mind, I want you to imagine, when you leave this webinar, what is your review strategy going to be? Are you going to go out and get more reviews, right? Remember, the amount of reviews makes a difference. Like starting fresh physical therapy here on screen, who only has 2 Google reviews and wants to get that number up, right? Or are you going to try and improve your rating, your overall star rating? Maybe you have reviews, you have almost 100, but you want to get that star rating up. Like Cool Kids PT here, you're looking to get that 3.7 up to a 4.5 average. Or are you looking to outrank the competition? There are some of you out there like me who are competitive people. You want to outrank the competition, have a better rating than every other office in your community. Like Knee Freeze and PT here, you want a great average rating, tons of reviews. You want to be the best there is, right? So think about that. When you leave here today, what are you going to focus on? Getting more reviews, improving your rating, or outranking the competition? And again, if you want, put that in the chat, let everyone know, and we'll see where you're at. So, okay, we've talked a lot about how to leverage reviews that you have and that you get, right? To wrap things up today, let's talk about how Weave can help you do this. Weave is an all-in-one toolbox communication platform for small businesses and medical practices. So we combine tools like phones, messaging, scheduling, team chat, payments, and reviews into a unified platform that helps offices simplify and streamline how they communicate with their patients, right? So not only does Weave replace your entire phone system, put it on a VoIP system, but it takes so many other tools that you're probably also or already paying for and combines them into one and saves you money that way, right? So it allows you to save time. It allows you to save money. It's got amazing integrations and different features to help grow your practice, help you run things more smoothly. And in line with everything we've talked about today, it offers the ability to collect and monitor reviews all within your desktop application, even on your mobile phone, right? The review tool is one of the features that so many practices love because you can accomplish all of these review strategies that I've talked about today. You can build up your review count by texting your patients a link to leave a review on Google or Facebook, and then you can go ahead and turn that into an improved rating. You can outrank the competition. You can turn it into marketing, but it really streamlines your ability to collect those reviews, to even kind of be selective about who you send requests to, right? If there's a bad interaction, you can leave it up to them if they want to leave a review or not. If you have a great interaction, you can send them that link and they'll shoot you that good review. So if you're interested in learning more about Weave and how it might help improve your review strategy, go ahead and we will get a link. I'm going to copy and paste it in right now. There's a link in the chat. I think we will also have it in the description. But this link will take you to where you can request kind of a personalized demo, a walkthrough of Weave, and with Weave reviews, you can promote your business, get discovered, and win more businesses there. So that is all I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation. I'm going to turn my time back over to Andy or Andrew.
All right. If anyone has any questions, please put it in the chat box and be happy to ask Andrew. But while we're waiting for that, Andrew, is it illegal or is it frowned upon to incentivize for leaving reviews?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yes and no. There's kind of a gray area there. It is illegal, or it's not allowed to incentivize or bribe people to leave 5-star reviews, right? You can't say, hey, I'm going to give you a gift card if you leave me a 5-star review. That is not allowed. You can get in trouble if you get caught doing that. However, you can incentivize them just to leave a review, right? So going back to what I was talking about earlier, if you know that you had a really good interaction, you feel like it was a 4 or a 5-star experience, you can say, hey, here's a discount, here's a coupon, here's a gift card, if you don't mind just leaving me a review. Don't tell them what kind of review to leave, but you can incentivize the act of leaving a review itself. So.
And let me follow up on that. What kind of incentives are okay, and are there any that are not okay?
Not that I know of. I think use your best judgment. But I think as long as you're not incentivizing a 5-star review, you can do whatever you want. I know a lot of people who like to do, or a lot of practices who like to do, just gift cards, maybe a discount to some, a medical supplier, maybe, whatever falls within the regulations of your existing practice. Typically a gift card or a discount is the way to go.
And when you're saying it's illegal or it's not allowed, who would be the entity that would actually monitor a violation and impose penalties, if any?
Right. I'll go back a little bit. I don't think it's illegal. I don't think you're breaking a law, asking for a 5-star review. But I think that Google and Facebook watch for that, right? And I don't know if they actively try and trap people, but I think if you were to do that and then turn them into Google could flag your business online, right? And since that business and the reviews and the marketing is everything, your online presence is so important. You don't want to risk ruining that online reputation, that online presence. They're the ones who would kind of fault you there. So
great. We had a question coming in. It says a lot of my customers never leave reviews, and how can we get these customers to do so? I believe we kind of talked about that, but maybe you can say it again.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where Weave comes into play. It makes it super easy when that customer's information, their phone number, their name, all that is in the Weave system. You can just shoot them a quick text, right? And even outside of Weave, it's something that you can do like right before they leave the office, right? Again, if you feel like you had a really solid experience with that particular patient, you can say on their way out the door, maybe after they've paid, or you can follow up with an email or a text. Just say, hey, I hope you enjoyed today's visit. I would love it and appreciate it if you could leave me a 5-star review. Just ask them, whichever way is most comfortable. Usually do it while it's fresh on your mind. I know a lot of practices will send that text while they're still there in the office at the front desk, right, checking out, so that it's fresh on their mind. They get the text, you can confirm they got that text, and then they're likely to leave that review. So.
And as a Weave user myself, I wanted to ask you: now this is something we do as well, which is targeted text messages for patients that we think are happy, and things like that. But do you think that's a better way to do it, or do we want to send a mass email to all our patients asking for a review? Because that's also a functionality that's in Weave, but we've never done that. Is that something you recommend?
Yeah. I would say do both, yeah, and especially if you are really confident in your patient base, right? I think that both strategies have their advantages, right? It's really good to say, oh, that was such an amazing experience. Let me catch them before I forget. But let's say you're new to Weave, or let's say you're new to reviews and you don't have a lot and you want to get a bunch. You can send, like you said, that mass email, that mass text to all of them, and then proceed with one-offs as you have good experiences.
And hopefully you won't get too many negatives. So that's, you're right. You have to be confident.
Right. Yep. Be confident, and again, own the negatives. Right. If they come in, that's good feedback. That's an opportunity for you to grow. And a lot of times, I know people can adjust their reviews if you treat them well enough, and they're pleased with you. They'll change that 1-star review to a 4 or 5 star. So,
great. So if you know you have a false review, how do you report it to Google?
That's a good question. That's just in your review management. So the review management, I think, syncs up into Weave system. So you'll have all of that there on the dashboard. I think it's on this previous slide, actually. Yeah, here's a good example. Here's all your reviews. But then within your Google account, right, every business has a Google account they log into. It's usually connected to their Gmail or their business account. You can just go in there, and somewhere in that review system, you can Google it and find out where it is. I don't know the exact location, but it's within that review management and review response tool. So.
Let's see, another one here. I believe you may have mentioned it, but we can go over it again. Does my Google review rating impact my rank?
Does my Google review rating impact my rank? I believe so.
You mean like a search ranking, correct?
Yes, I believe it does. And again, going back to those 3 things, you want quantity, you want quality, and you want recency. All those things play into your rank. Again, mentioning your name alongside responses to positive reviews, avoiding your businesses or your practice's name alongside negative.
And Dr. Schneider, if you could comment on that, I know you're quite familiar with this topic.
Yeah, I mean, when you're posted, when you're listed, especially when you're listed in like the 3-pack of the local search, it always has the number of reviews you have and your review score. So that went away for a little bit, but it seems to be back. So it definitely, I mean, even if it doesn't impact the rank, it certainly impacts people coming into the office. So,
right,
one, it's good. How would you say to use your reviews in your marketing and still remain HIPAA compliant?
Yeah, so we went over that a little bit, but if there's a review where a patient goes into extreme detail about everything you did for them, I would say just start by avoiding those reviews, right? Look for reviews where they talk about how you treated them, or some of the emotional connections to what they had, right? Oh, their staff was really nice. They were quick and efficient. They gave me the service I needed to. I mean, as medical professionals, I think you all know what the best, how to maintain HIPAA compliance. But if it doesn't read well, or it doesn't seem good, or you can adjust them, right? Reach out to them and say, hey, I want to use this review in my marketing. I noticed you left some reviews that I don't think you'd be comfortable sharing online. Here's kind of a revised version I came up with. Do you mind? Do I have your consent to use this revised version online, right? So just use your best judgment there. Don't share specifics of their medical needs and their medical history. Use reviews that include their experiences with you as a practice and as professionals.
Great. Thank you. And from what I can see is the final question here, unless Dr. Schneider has more. As a Taylor Medical member, are there any promotions that Weave is offering to members?
Yeah, so we've got a monthly promotion running right now where if you demo Weave, again, with this link, and you can find that link in the chat, I'll post it again. If you follow this link and demo or walk through Weave during this month, you can get a $50 Starbucks gift card. So it's our current promotion.
Okay.
All right. Well, Andrew, thank you very much for a fantastic presentation. It was reviews are so important. They only become more important as time goes on. And thanks
Absolutely.
everyone for joining us on for Taylor Tuesday. Our next Taylor Tuesday is going to be May 17th. It's going to be presented by a new company for Taylor, DME Authority. You can see the long title of the presentation here. So that's in 2 weeks, right here on Taylor Tuesdays. So,
and I guess all we can say is that they're our newest Taylor medical vendor, and we're all excited to see what they have to offer. They provide prevention software services and proprietary technology, which is capable of assessing DVT risk and ultimately prevention. So we look forward to having you all join us as well. Thank you, everyone.
all right. Andrew, thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, guys.
See you
It's
next
been
time.
great. We'll see you later.
All righty.
Bye now.